What is going on, you guys? We are live. We are here. We got our setup going. We got our neon sign up top. It's good to be here. Thank you guys for choosing to subscribe to the channel. It's crazy, 280 subs without a single
not
video.
even putting a single piece of content out. We already have 280 subs. No, it's really appreciated. This is the most exciting day of the year, aside from the first day of the year when we're talking about NFL opening week. But wildcard weekend is a little different this year. We have now 7 teams from each conference that are going to be playing, for it all. And, obviously we have the first round buys. There's only one this year for each conference. So you have, in the AFC, the Kansas City Chiefs, they will not be playing this weekend. And the Green Bay Packers will not be playing this weekend. But to start it off, the Colts, 11-5, they didn't get in as comfortably, I'm sure, as they thought that they were going to, or as that they wanted to. But they're going to be playing the Bills, who are 13-3, and a lot better than last year. I think Brian Dable has done a phenomenal job on the offense, basically getting Josh Allen and company prepared. But I think the big thing that really helped this offense, at least in my opinion, you have to look at what Stephon Diggs has brought to the table. He has absolutely transformed not only Josh Allen, but he has transformed this offense in every meaning of the word offense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's crazy. The Bills came out of nowhere, it feels like. I mean, they didn't, because obviously Josh Allen always had talent.
Oh, absolutely.
But I mean, the fact no one predicted him putting it together, I guess, as quickly, and such an epic turnaround. Literally would have really high highs, but super low lows, and just zero consistency, which anyone in the NFL can have a great game. Everyone's talented in the NFL, so to see Josh Allen put it all together like this and consistently, and now the Bills are 13-3, it's crazy. So. And I lived in Buffalo, as you know. I went out there and I lived there.
Absolutely.
So I fell in love with the city. So I do have some respect for Buffalo, the city. And their fans are as diehard as people say, the freaking ketchup and mustard guy who suplexes the tables at the tailgates. It's all legit.
They really rallied around this team.
Yeah.
They really have.
Yeah.
I mean, 13-3 record is legit. And, they had some games where it came down to the wire. And, of course, they lost a game to the Arizona Cardinals on a Hail Mary. So, I mean, they could be 14-2. They've been very impressive. And it's a credit to what Sean McDermott has done for that team, pretty much changing the culture from square one. This is somebody that I've said, many times before, love his defensive mentality and what he's done in the defense. But surprisingly, Adam, we're talking about an offensive-minded Bills team going back to more Jim Kelly era.
Yep.
And this defense that has such a defensive-minded coach in Sean McDermott, who has all these weapons on the defensive side of the ball.
Oh, yeah.
They really haven't been as great as I expected for a 13-3 team. If you told me before the season that it would be because of their offense at 13-3, I would have said you're crazy. But this defense is giving up, they're 26th in the league against the run. And going into this game, that's exactly what the Colts are going to have to do. They're going to have to establish the run. They have 3 really good running backs. But the first one that jumps off the page, you and I liked him on film coming out of the draft, Jonathan Taylor.
Well, and Jonathan Taylor, dude, is he's turned it on too.
Absolutely.
At the beginning of the year, I was like, oh my God. I remember really wanting him in the draft, or at least considering man, if my team drafted him, that'd be kind of nice. And then he came out and he was playing, and I was like, this dude, he's not that great. He didn't do anything special in the first quarter of the season, really. And then he just flipped the switch, and the dude's a monster, a maniac. He's running people over. He's outrunning people. He's just good. He's way better than I expected.
Here's the thing. I felt like he and then after further evaluation, I felt like Cam Akers, you were looking at the 2 best running backs in this draft. But the thing I loved about Jonathan Taylor is everyone was questioning how athletic this guy was. He's going to run the 4.5s. He comes out, he runs a 4.3 40 at the combine.
Yep.
This is somebody that runs with great pad level, has great balance, and he gives Indy everything they could ask for in a running back, and the best running back they've had since Edgerrin James.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the Colts, I know that they kind of fizzled out towards the end of the season a little bit. They're not as hot as they were at that mid-season point, but they're a good team, man, and I expect them to put up a good fight against the Bills. I really do. I think they match up well, too.
I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely do. And I don't think this is going to be like the blowout people are expecting, with this offense. Don't get me wrong. Brian Dable's probably going to be a head coach next year. He's done a fantastic job with that offense. And especially, we laughed about it, but Cole Beasley, he's now an All-Pro. So they have 2 All-Pro receivers. And then the running backs, it was a little bit of a disappointment, I guess you could look at, because you look at Devin Singletary, and you look at Zach Moss, and you think, all right, these 2 guys could go for, I think both of them could go for 1,000 yards in the right circumstance.
Yeah.
But this is a very pass-first, heavy offense. And so I think that did hurt them in a sense with their statistics. I don't think a 13-3 team is worried, though, about statistics, because we've seen it before. Tevin Coleman ran for, 4 touchdowns in that game for San Francisco. I think it was in the NFC title game to get them there. We saw the emergence of Raheem Mostert. So I think the thing that's really important here is, regardless of the whole season, how it's gone for you, it's a whole blank slate. Everybody starts with 0 stats in the postseason. And so that's what I'm really excited to see is how these guys come out. With that being said, Phillip Rivers, we have to talk about him. First off, I'm a little shocked that Indy went for Phillip Rivers in the offseason. Felt like they had something in Jacoby Brissett for another year as a bridge guy. They got JkBogen, but they go out and they get Phillip Rivers. And it was a little bit of a shock to me. Phillip Rivers is 5-6 in the postseason. It's not the best record. But Josh Allen's also 0-1. And, I think this is a huge game for Rivers as well. This might be the last chance he ever has at finally getting to that Lombardi. And I don't know if he's going to do it this year, but I think if the Colts got enough going for them, they had the defense with Matt Eberflus as the defensive coordinator where they can make noise. So that's kind of how I see that. But I want to talk about the interesting dynamic here. And we've said this off air. We've talked a lot about this.
Yeah.
Josh Allen playing with fans in the stands. This time,
okay.
It's very interesting because the governor of New York, Andrew Cuomo, has decided to allow over 6,000 fans in attendance for the Buffalo Bills game.
Yep.
Now, I want to get your thoughts on that, and I want to get your thoughts on how much that could impact this game.
Well, how many fans is it exactly? How many?
It's over 6,000.
Over 6,000.
6,700, I want to say. I could be wrong.
I mean, I think it'll impact it a little bit, but the fact that it's in Buffalo and how crazy the Buffalo fans are, I think I expect it to be mostly Buffalo people there. You know what I'm saying? And plus, just with the whole situation, with people not wanting to travel as much, I just don't see as many Colts fans making that trip. So, yeah, even if it is like a packed house for, packed houses and like 6,000 people show up, I don't think it's going to impact him that much. But I did have the conversation, or we did at least, about this year and how like not having fans there is pressuring people or taking the pressure off of the players, because I know as a player, like I played sports, obviously nothing as dramatic as the National Football League, but when I would play sports, I remember when there was an audience, I would either feel like motivated and really excited, or sometimes if I wasn't feeling great, I would have like off games because I would feel pressure. And that spotlight is on you and you don't live up to your expectations or what you're capable of. So we had the conversation at the beginning of the year about how Josh Allen had such a dramatic turnaround.
Yes.
And how it could potentially be, in part, somewhat to do with the lack of fans at stadiums, because no one questions Josh Allen as like a talent.
No.
But if he, when he gets spotlights on him, he feels pressure and he doesn't perform up to par, that's a potentially real thing. And I think the lack of fans could definitely be helping him in that manner. Kind of make it like a scrimmage game almost, where there's no pressure. No one's here. No one's watching me. Like, It's all good, man.
Yeah, no,
I'm just going to sling it around, run around, and have fun. So, but as far as this game goes and being at home in Buffalo and only 6,000 fans, I really don't think it's going to be a factor.
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic, isn't it? I mean, just the fact that all of a sudden now they have fans. I don't think it's going to make a huge difference.
Yeah.
I'm not going along the lines of this is going to make or break Josh Allen. I'm not about to say that. What I am about to say, though, is he is 0-1 in the postseason. He showed some good things last year against Houston. Crazy enough, we're talking about Houston now not being able to find a head coach.
Yep.
But, a year later, things change, obviously. You saw some great things and some poor decisions in the Houston game that ultimately ended their season.
Mhm.
I think he did a lot. I think he also hurt them a lot. I've said Josh Allen has all the talent in the world. I talked to him at the
Absolutely.
Senior Bowl. Clearly, he's a very bright individual. He's going to go far, and he's a very talented guy. You
Yep.
see the arm talent stand out.
Yep.
When I was in Mobile, in those practices, his arm just sets everything apart.
Yeah.
But the problem with him that I've always said, going back to my days of watching him at Wyoming, the biggest issue with him is it's like watching a Die Hard movie. I always say.
Okay.
So Bruce Willis,
Where
you ever
going
see
with-
Live Free, Die Hard?
Yeah, bro. Of course.
Bruce
of course.
Willis, when he shoots himself through his own chest to kill the guy who's
Yeah.
like holding him.
Yeah.
That's Josh Allen. He will literally shoot himself to help his team, and
Sure.
sometimes it gets himself killed. So, I think he has to continue doing what he's doing. I think he's done a lot better this year at taking care of the football.
Yep.
But that is something to keep in mind. Is he can get he has like this arrogant arm, if you will.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And so I think he needs to be more, not necessarily conservative, because I don't want to take away from the firepower you have on your offense, but maybe not take the triple cover throw.
Oh sure, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the kind of stuff he could get away with in college, right? So
Yeah.
that's probably just part of a natural progression for him. But yeah, man. I mean, I'm excited to watch this game. I think it's gonna be crazy. I don't know what the Colts are going to do with Phillip Rivers in this one. Do you really let him throw it around much, or do you just try and take this game over with the running game?
Well, remember we said that Phillip Rivers is a maniac because I said the best quarterback when pressured is Phillip Rivers.
Yeah.
He has a passer rating over 100 the
Yeah.
last time I checked. I mean, he's just a maniac. He loves
Yep.
people running at him, and I guess maybe that kind of helps him out. It's sometimes when he has too much time, maybe he over pursues and things like that. So
Sure.
I guess maybe he's just more locked in and more focused when he has guys running at him. Kind of bizarre. So he's the opposite of Brady, where you run at him and he'll make you pay. If you pressure Brady, that's how you beat Brady. With Rivers, it's going to be interesting with Buffalo. I think Buffalo's defense was starting to find their rhythm towards the end of the season. I still have questions about their run defense. I really do. Just looking at everything, 26th in the league, they've consistently given up yards to running backs like Damian Harris, Darrell Henderson, all of that. And so I do think that consistency, that doesn't just go away because it's the playoffs. I don't think they figured out how to stop the run. And I think Jonathan Taylor, who's coming off, a 200-yard performance the last game, I wouldn't be surprised if he has another huge game in this one. And this is one of those wacky wild card games where we're talking really high scoring.
Okay.
Or it could be a really defensive battle because, again, defense, they have the talent. If all of a sudden things just come together, they've been playing a little bit better as of late. And then you have Matt Eberflus, who there's a reason he's now interviewing for head coaching jobs.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to be interesting. And I think the Colts definitely bring a lot to the table, in that regard. This is not a gimme game. I mean, the Bills are heavily favored.
As they should be, probably.
Yeah.
It makes sense, honestly,
of
on
course.
paper. Yeah.
I have no issue with that.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's as gimme of a game as. And Bills fans aren't saying we've already won the Super Bowl. They know. They know what it's like to have a win in hand and lose it, or looks like have a win in hand. So, it's definitely going to be interesting today. Just kind of looking at it, Phillip Rivers has a chance to go to 500 in the playoffs, and we'll see, if he does that. But I think we should move on to another game.
Well, what's your prediction?
That's a good one. So I
Hold you to it, make you look bad if it doesn't come out right.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna say Buffalo.
Yeah.
So Bills fans, I'm rolling with you. I'm gonna say 27-23. I think it's one of those games where it could get in the 30s. Hell, it could get in the 40s. But I'm gonna stick with 27-23 as a prediction.
I'm gonna go. Obviously, the smart bet is on the Bills.
Yeah.
For many reasons.
Absolutely.
But I'm just going to play devil's advocate. And I'm going to say that the Colts managed to just stick to their game plan the whole game. This is if this happens scenario, this is what I would predict the game to go. They stick to their game plan, which means controlling the clock, great running game, and, their defense plays how it's played at its peak. And I'm going to say it's a lower scoring game. So I will say if that happens and Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs don't just take over the game. Colts, 21. Buffalo, 20.
Wow.
Yeah, make it real close.
That I like it. I hope it comes down to the final drive. I really do.
And that's only if they can stick to like the running game the whole time. And like they are controlling the pace of the clock. If Josh Allen and Diggs just take over, it's, good night.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It's not going to be easy. I mean, they do have, guys in the back end of that secondary that I do like in India.
Mm-hmm.
Kenny Moore is a playmaker. I think he's actually a sleeper there. DeForest Buckner's going to play. But so Stephon Diggs and Cole Beasley. They're two all-pro receivers. So, I think, it's going to be a fun game. Again, Buffalo clearly seems like the favorite, but Indy knocked off Green Bay. And Green Bay has a number 1 seed. And Green Bay looks like maybe the best team in football right now. And Buffalo seems like one of the hottest teams in football.
Well, definitely, so, absolutely, they are. Yeah.
Indy's already done it. We'll see if they can do it again. But,
yes, sir.
So moving on, since we have our score predictions, you have the Colts, I have the Bills. This is obviously my game of the day. I'm not going to hide the fact that, obviously everyone knows I'm a Rams fan. I come from downtown Rams.
It's true.
So the Rams, 10-6, are playing the Seahawks, 12-4 at 4:40 p.m. Eastern Time on Fox. The Rams and Seahawks actually split the series on the season, 1-1 on the year. In LA, the Rams won. Seattle beat the Rams in Seattle. So here's some interesting things that you may not know. Russell Wilson is 9-6 in the postseason. But here's the thing. 5 of those 9 wins under Pete Carroll, the Seattle Seahawks have played at home. And they're 5-0 at home. They have never lost a home playoff game. So that's an interesting dynamic there.
Yep.
Also interesting here. John Wolford is actually expected to start at the moment. Now, I think John Wolford should start. If anybody's seen my videos, they know where I stand on that. I'm not 100% certain he's going to. I think there was a thing that came out with Ian Rappaport that he was making kind of an inference based on the information he has, right?
Yep.
But I don't know how much more information he has than we do if he's going based on the fact that John Wolford's preparing as the starter all week, because we kind of already knew that when Jared Goff was limited.
Yep.
So, Jared Goff has looked really good in practice throwing the football, they've been saying. So, I wouldn't be surprised if he starts. But assuming John Wolford does start, Jared Goff will likely back him up. I think that they're really trying to be cautious with Goff's thumb. And they should. I think that's, one of the main reasons. But let's not act like Goff hasn't started to struggle, over the last 3 weeks of the season.
Yep.
And was really poor towards the end of that game in Seattle. Made a lot of great throws, and then he left a lot on the field, but the biggest turnover, you saw the interception. We don't know where he was throwing.
God. It was disgusting.
It was, they're at the 30-yard line. They're at the 30-yard line. It's, 3 minutes to go in the second quarter. You had the lead at 6-3. You go up 9-3 at worst.
Yep.
You settle for the field goal. And then, you kick it. You have a touchdown. You're up 13-3 with them getting the ball back.
Yep.
Seattle got the ball back and scored the next drive in the second half. But the problem was Goff turned the ball over, didn't live to play another down on a 1st and 10, rolled out to the right, tried to kind of float it to Robert Woods, but there wasn't really anything going there. It was picked off by Quandre Diggs, and that really was the momentum shift there. That's what led to Seattle winning that football game and taking over at that point. But in this one, John Wolford, if he starts, is the first undrafted rookie free agent to start a playoff game since 2006 when Brian Hoyer started for the Houston Texans. So they lost.
Yep.
The last quarterback to win a playoff game as a UDFA was Tony Romo. Now, keep in mind, Romo was established when he won a playoff game.
Right.
He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league then.
Yeah, man.
Hoyer, you don't want to be in that company necessarily, but Wolford did look pretty good last week. The stats don't show it, 231 yards, 58% completion percentage, an interception, no touchdowns, but the eye test is passed there. When you look at the film, you have to see, a guy that's poised, a guy that's locked in, a guy that's willing to, make plays off schedule, obviously can run. And he was testing teams down the field, or rather the Arizona Cardinals, in a way that Jared Goff hasn't since week 3 against the Bills. So that is something that I'm definitely concerned with. If the Rams roll with Goff, they become, in my opinion, they become a very predictable offense. I feel like Seattle kind of has the script on him.
Yep.
You know, he's 2-3 when playing in Seattle. And 2 of those 5 games he's played, he hasn't thrown a touchdown in.
Right.
So I look at it, they've already read this book many times before. They know what they're getting with Jared Goff. How do you game plan against John Wolford? You can look at what he did against Arizona, and don't get me wrong, people will say, the realist will say, well, John Wolford just played his first game, so there was no film on him. But what I would say, looking at that, is he just got the jitters off. He just played in a game to send them to the playoffs. So in a sense, he kind of played a playoff game. So that's the thing. He's already played with his back against the wall, and if he had another week to prepare under that number one offense, under the first team offense, I feel good that he's going to come out a lot more confident than he did at the beginning of the Arizona game.
What I saw from the Wolf of Wall Street.
The Wolf of Wall
What I
Street.
saw from him watching that game was I echo a lot of what you said as far as his mobility being a huge factor and just a stark difference between him and Goff is his ability to escape in the pocket, kind of extend plays, make things happen off script. And then, yes, he took shots downfield. My biggest thing, I think if you're the Seahawks, you just focus on if he plays this game. So if Goff plays the game, if you're the Seahawks, you already know how to play Goff. You played him a million times. You understand that. You play him. Play him how you play him. If they play the Wolf, I think the Seahawks just really, if I was the D coordinator for them, I would just focus on taking away the deep shots. Don't let him get the big chunk yardage in one play. Make him earn everything. So contain in the pocket, take away his mobility as best you can, and make him actually put together like long, sustained drives where he's hitting 5 to 10 yard throws and going through his progressions. And instead of taking those shots or extending plays, make him earn everything he's gonna. Every yard he gets, he has to earn. That's how I would play him. If I'm the Rams, I think you do play the Wolf, though. I mean, Goff has his thumb's broken, right? It's literally broken. And they said he looked good in practice. I don't know, man. If I'm them, I just roll with what got you the win and into the playoffs last week, and that was John Wolford. So.
Well, and I agree with that. And one thing I'll say is that this is Sean McVay's out. And what I mean by that is, you can look at it any way you want. I chose to look at it like John Wolford came in. He hasn't started an NFL game. He didn't start in the preseason. He came in, but actually Brandon Allen started. So he didn't start in the preseason, so he hasn't started since the AAF.
Right.
With the Arizona Hotshots. He comes in, he not only sends the Rams to the postseason, but he ran the offense better than I've seen Jared Goff run it since the Buffalo game week 3. So I guess that's kind of my concern here with not playing him, is that you don't get those deep shots down the field. Now, those can get you into trouble, right?
Yeah.
But I felt like watching the film, and I broke it down on my YouTube channel. I felt like watching the film, Arizona didn't do anything entirely different than Seattle did week 16. So when people want to compare Jared Goff and what he did against Arizona earlier in the year to what John Wolford did against Arizona, because Goff threw 350, he had 2 touchdowns, what have you. I don't think it's the same. It wasn't the same game plan. They didn't have the same type of style where, Kyler Murray was banged up, so they played it differently.
Sure. Well, not to cut you off, but what do you think the Seahawks are doing extremely well right now? Besides, really relying on the fact that you have Russell Wilson, what?
That's the interesting thing.
What sticks out to them about,
So Seattle, in my opinion, isn't that great of a football team on the offensive side of football. They have a lot of raw talent.
Oh, absolutely.
And everyone remembers what they did early in the year when Russell Wilson was like, give him the MVP now. This is why we play 16 games. And so, this offense has actually kind of fallen off a little bit.
A little bit. That's why I was raising the point.
Yeah.
What sticks out to you about them on offense besides DK Metcalf and Russell Wilson?
And DK Metcalf, when he went up against Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah, but it's Jalen Ramsey.
But that's what
it's still
he's going to go up against him again.
I know, but in general, towards the end of the season, I didn't see anything that was like, oh my God. You know what I mean?
And
like they were good, obviously.
Seattle had a historically awful defense at the start of the season,
sure.
and now I look at them and I'm like, they're top 5. They're doing everything that you need them to do.
Yep.
And I think the thing that we need to worry about if you're looking at Seattle is getting away from what you did to give the Rams havoc. You got to use Jamal Adams. When you blitz Jamal, he's leading your team in sacks.
He's ridiculous, bro.
Like
he's insane.
And that play he made on Darrell Henderson when he ran across, there's the left side.
I remember that play.
Yeah.
From the opposite field all the way around back end and got him. It's like, what?
Not only did he injure Darrell Henderson because he's out for the year.
Yep.
But he saved that touchdown. They didn't score on that drive.
He's unbelievable, by the way. Just appreciation for him for a second. He's insane,
he's phenomenal. Dude. I mean, there's so many great safeties out there. The Rams have a really good one in John Johnson.
Yeah.
Your team has a really good one in Minka.
Yeah, but they're different.
I just feel like Jamal Adams has everything.
Is special, man. Those two are good too.
Yeah.
You could argue Minka's special, but like, I feel like you could put Jamal Adams, free safety, strong safety, corner, slot corner, whatever, and he's just going to take over that spot. Like Minka going and moving into strong safety, playing at that level. You know what I mean?
No, I definitely agree, and I definitely know what you mean. And I think really the thing is here is if the Rams do their job and they bring in John Wolford, and John Wolford plays a very similar game to the game that he played against Arizona. Say, he doesn't have anybody, he's going to take off, he's going to run for 20 yards. Very similar to what Russell Wilson does.
Right.
The Rams have I'm not going to say they figured out Russell Wilson, but Brandon Staley's defense has done a nice job with Russell Wilson. How did they beat the Rams the last time? Jared Goff turned the ball over. Jared Goff took a sack on a 3-man rush, right around field goal range, kind of took them out of it. They still got the field goal.
Yep.
The thing with the Rams here, though, and I want to see with Brandon Staley, is one thing I noticed in Week 16 is that they were using a lot of the same things the Rams do. A lot of those bootlegs, trying to draw attention away. And the Rams' defense is so fast, they were over-pursuing. And they were getting those little... See, Russell Wilson's problem that I've seen is that I think earlier in the season, it kind of made him a little cocky. Where he just felt like, I have DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. I'm going to chuck it downfield, and I know that they can help me.
Well, but nothing wrong with thinking that way. They're good players.
Exactly. But the problem is, when you have tougher corners, and they hadn't gone up against a Jalen Ramsey or a Darius Williams yet, then it starts to become an issue. And what I've seen on film is that Russell Wilson wasn't taking the checkdowns. I understand Russell Wilson's special.
Well,
take what the defense gives you. If you can't get anybody over the top, I think it's very simple. And I saw Mina Kimes, friend of our show, break it down on ESPN. She basically said, look, Seattle hasn't figured out how to throw against cover 2. It's that simple. They literally have not figured it out. It's like a kid in Madden trying to run those streak patterns all day long in cover 2 and just throwing to the wrong side of the field. They haven't figured it out. And so when they started using those boots and getting Russell Wilson on those bootlegs and using say like a Chris Carson out of the backfield as a pass catcher, or using Freddie Swain, the rookie out of Florida, or even just getting Jacob Hollister involved, their tight end.
Yep.
That's the thing. Russell Wilson, if it's there, he has to take it. He can't rely on the deep ball.
Yeah. So okay, I understand that.
It's weird, right? Because you're thinking Seattle, they've been doing that. That's their game. But
yeah.
They have to adapt.
Okay, so if you're watching the Seahawks right now, and as a Rams fan, what's their best approach to their keys to the game for Seahawks? What's their best approach to beat the Rams today?
Well, their best approach
what would they have to do?
Beat the Rams today. I'd put a spy on Wolford if he starts.
Yeah.
Goff, you play your game. Goff is either going to beat you with his arm talent or his inconsistencies and his shortcomings.
And they still haven't called who they're playing yet.
They still haven't.
And the game's in 4 hours?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. We have another one coming up where we're like, what is going on with the Buccaneers and the Washington football team? But No, I think to me, if it's John Wolford, you play a different style of game, and you need to have a spy on him. You can't let him go
I
out
think
and
that's
beat
fair.
with his,
You got to
with his
take
legs.
you got to take that easy stuff away from him. You know.
And one thing I'll say, John Wolford was doing everything he was doing with a 1.6 yards per carry average out of Cam Akers. So
Right.
he didn't have much of a
A run
running game.
game,
He
yeah.
was just doing everything himself. This week, Cam Akers coming off that high ankle sprain, I do expect him to be a lot better, a lot more comfortable.
Sure.
So, and the people saying, well, he didn't score a touchdown last week. He threw a dime to Gerald Everett in the back of the end zone. He dropped it.
Yep.
And then Cam Akers fumbled at the 1 yard line. That game could have been a lot different. They still won,
Sure.
but it could have been a lot different.
So so you're saying you spy Wolford
You spy
if
Wolford,
he plays,
absolutely.
and then what? How
Goff,
do you win? You win in the run game as the Seahawks, or do you win in the passing game by beating? Because that secondary is a tough task to just ask them to go out there and beat.
Absolutely, but you want to isolate their linebackers.
Yeah.
So the thing that Brandon Staley does a great job of, and what I've noticed, is that he has made it so, look, these linebackers aren't all pros. I like Troy Reader. I like the contributions he's made as a UDFA out of Delaware. But let's be real here. Troy Reader's not Bobby Wagner. He's not Patrick Willis. He's not like a superstar linebacker, and neither is Kenny Young. And Micah Kaiser, who was their starter, and Traven Howard, who was going to be their starter, they don't have either of the two starters they were expecting to come into the season with.
Right.
So my point is that Brandon Staley has masked their shortcomings in the linebacker group very well.
Right. So you're saying target them.
Absolutely.
Yep.
That's what I'm doing. If I'm Seattle, I'm trying to
That makes
isolate
sense.
on Kenny Young. I'm
Yep.
trying to isolate on Troy Reader. Troy Reader has really improved in coverage. That was a big issue of his, and he's really improved. So I'm not going to act like, Troy Reader isn't going to be a good in coverage. I'm not going to act like Kenny Young can't be up for the task, because I think Kenny Young's, fairly underrated as an athlete. But that's what I'm going after.
I agree.
And then you do that, and it opens up the secondary, because now
You
Brandon
gotta-
Staley's going to make
You got to
adjustments.
cheat them forward a little bit. You
Exactly.
got yeah.
So that's how I would do that.
Yep. I think I agree with that sentiment a lot. I honestly think it actually would be easier for the Seahawks to win if Goff plays.
I do too.
I really do. Just because you have that familiarity. And then
The whole
there's no way
dynamic
that
of Wolford changes everything.
yeah, and there's no way that Goff is going to come back with a broken thumb and like be substantially better than he's ever been against them. You're looking at a similar kind of comparison to what they've seen from him before. So you just know how to play that. You have that comfort level there.
Well, and I've been saying this, and this has been pissing off the fan base, but I don't know if 100% a healthy Goff is better than John Wolford right now. I really don't.
Well, I would say no, not right now from what we've seen from Goff.
Yeah.
No.
So why would you rush him back now that he's hurt?
Yeah.
So, and if he plays, I think they still win. As crazy as that sounds, but I think that's their worst. That's their worst case scenario if he plays. I think their best case scenario, Wolford plays.
Wolford.
I think here's the thing though, they're not going to admit it. I don't know if Sean McVay necessarily thinks this or not, but I also kind of feel like the Rams front office doesn't want Wolford to play, because what if Wolford goes off in this game, sends the Rams to Lambeau, and then now you have to play him, right? Because you have to. And then you play him in Lambeau and he wins. Paid Jared Goff $35 million per year, and what do we do now? Like, I
Right.
feel like front office who signed him in that contract. I'm not saying that they would hide, what they did wrong for the benefit of them, because that's kind of selfish. I don't think that they would necessarily sacrifice, the winning, the success of the team for that matter to hide that. But I definitely think it's interesting, and I think it's something we have to say, because it's just an interesting thing.
Sure. Yep. Okay, so with that being said,
With that being said,
what's your prediction, bro?
it's 20-13, same as it was on the podcast.
Rams?
I still think the Rams win, and this is 20-13 with Goff starting. I
Okay.
think Goff is going to start. I
Oh,
really do.
I mean, I understand why they would start him,
I
because
really think Goff.
imagine if he's healthy enough to go and they're like, no, like that just, and then you lose the game, or there's just so many questions and headlines that creates. You're kind of in a rock and a hard place there.
No, you absolutely are. I think Goff starts. I think the Rams still win. I think they're going to use a lot of Cam Akers. He's going to be a little healthier this week. Darrell Henderson's out. So he missed last week. He was on IR. He missed last week. He'll miss this week. And then he'll miss the next week. But if they made the Super Bowl, he'd be able to play.
Okay, so you're saying
So what
You're
I'm
saying
is
Goff starts.
Goff starts.
And that means that he's going all the way through the playoffs if they win. You're saying he's
if
their
they
quarterback.
win, I don't think they go back to Wolford.
Right, you're saying he's their quarterback.
Basically, yes.
Okay.
But I also could see him getting hurt because I don't like having him play with that thumb injury.
Well, it's on his throwing hand too, bro. So you can't even like really tape it up that much or do anything
like he's
crazy.
playing with a little bit of tape on it, and like here's the thing. And I know people, like, there are people DMing me, like, are you sure you want Wolford to play? Here are these practice highlights of Goff throwing these short and intermediate routes. I'm like, okay, but, like, what if you need to go deep in this game? What if you absolutely, like, I would honestly think that Sean McVay would be like, I just want to win the football game. And if Goff can't absolutely throw that deep ball and they need it, I'm putting Wolford in.
Sure. Okay, so you're saying 13-20 and Rams win.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Seattle's defense is legit, though, and they could they could blow up this game.
That's why
I need people to realize. Like, Rams fans have been like, "Whoa, they're like 31st." No.
Dude,
remember,
they've been way better.
Remember the clean slate?
Dude, they've been way better.
They've been very impressive. Well, they've only played the Jets. No. Stop. This defense is legit.
Yeah.
Well, they gave up Nick Bolton. I don't care. This defense is legit.
They're legit.
Also, I'd be committing a crime if I didn't say this. Carlos Dunlap. How about that move? When they went out and got him, I mean, we won't talk about how he got at Cincinnati. He literally posted his house for sale. Wow.
He's a little psycho,
Yeah,
but I would know. Yeah.
He's been huge. And because, you've watched him go against the Steelers.
He's good, man. He's still good.
Player.
He can still get it done, especially in the position they put him in now. He doesn't have to be the key guy, which is good for him.
Absolutely.
But I gotta go Seahawks, man. There's too many questions for the Rams for me right now. And plus, I think throughout the season, if I had to pick who the better team was consistently, it's got to be the Seahawks. And like you mentioned, they haven't been performing at all to their potential on offense. Like, at all, not even close, especially towards the end of the season. So if they even pick that up a little bit, plus with the increase on their defense and the way they've been playing, and then you have the questions with Goff, whether it's Goff or Wolford, just is either inexperienced or an injured quarterback who is not playing that great right now. It
doesn't sound the most ideal
Exactly. So to me, just as a safe bet, I have to go Seahawks. And I would say like 28-21. I think they'll score some points here, but
interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you're looking at two top 5 defenses. I think the Rams had the best defense in the league, and they've done things in the past where, like that game in LA, I think is kind of like what we could see. And the game in Seattle, the Rams still did a nice job despite Goff. And here's the thing. Goff wasn't bad in that game. He made a horrid mistake with the interception that really changed everything. He took back on a 3-man rush, made it 3rd and long, and then he took another.
It's key situations that like he fell through on.
But if you get Jared Goff, and I have to point this out, if you get Jared Goff starting and he starts and he plays the way he did against Tampa, or he plays the way he did against Buffalo or Philly, the Rams might win this game easily. That is why Jared Goff is still, like, they are working with him. Because when Jared Goff is on, he's on. And he made a couple wow throws in that Seattle game where he fit into a tight window repeatedly.
Sure.
And then, of course, you went back to, I think Goff just isn't as comfortable as he used to be. That's what I've seen.
Yeah.
Now, with the injury, though, that's what I'm worried about. He's probably going to be less comfortable than before. But moving on. Very interesting game here.
This is a weird one, bro.
Very, very, very interesting. So here's the thing. We had the 11-5 Buccaneers who are playing on the road. So because of I don't know, we added 7 teams to the postseason on each side.
Yep.
But we still haven't figured out how to make it so a 7-9 team that wins their division still hosts a playoff game. Like, I understand they won the division, but they went 7-9.
Yeah. And also, oh god.
There's so much to unpack with this game.
I just need to rant about how they're so I don't like it.
Yeah.
But dude, I swear another 5 years it's gonna be like 70% of the league is just in the playoffs.
It's gonna be the NBA.
Yeah, it's gonna be like 4-10 teams
or
are getting in.
Or the NHL, they had 26 teams at 30?
It's too much, man. It's like it takes out of being in the playoffs. It's like
no, I agree.
You're looking at the Washington like 7-9. I know it's happened before. But, like, that whole division was just a wreck, which was hilarious already. And then, I don't know, man. It's too much. It's just too much for me. And then you're taking – and I think the biggest piece that's upsetting is, like, you're taking away that second seed, like, playoff bye week, which is huge.
In the NFC, I wouldn't say it was that big of a deal.
No, it
The
wasn't
AFC,
because
though, the Steelers got screwed
we got-
over. The
we-
Bills got screwed over.
Bills got screwed over the most, obviously, but
But I mean, those three teams. I mean, that's the thing. AFC has been so much more dominant, I think, this year.
yeah, sure. But it's just weird to me, and I don't like where it's going. It's just taking away some of the luster of it for me. But that's just me. I don't know. It's just old man yelling at clouds, I guess.
Old man yelling at clouds. I like that. So Buccaneers 11-5.
Yep.
They're going against the Washington football team at 7-9.
Yep.
It's the 8:15 slot on NBC.
Which is also weird.
Yeah, we won't talk about the fact that the
That's
Rams
also
and
kinda weird.
Seahawks are this huge rivalry.
And we're going with the football team. But
well, you
good
know,
for you. Good for you, football team fans.
TB12. That's all I gotta say. That's why
Yeah.
That's why they're at the that slot.
Yeah.
But regardless, here's a weird thing that I just found. It was like right before we went on air, and I was like, wait, are we serious? Alex Smith is probably not going to play.
I
It's
saw
actually
that.
leaning towards the fact that Taylor Heineke is going to play. He's been taking first team snaps.
Yeah.
He came in relief and actually played pretty well earlier. But it's Taylor Heineke. And they had, obviously, I'm a little bit higher in Dwayne Haskins than the next person. They had Haskins. He started week 1. And they moved on. He was originally the captain. Now
Yeah.
he's not even on a roster, and he's going to be visiting Carolina next week on a home visit. Very interesting and weird. But Taylor Heineke versus Tom Brady, is this not the most David versus Goliath playoff game you've ever seen?
I mean, I don't want to squash Washington's, football team fans, kill their vibe, but come on. Like, what do we expect to happen here?
Well, here's the interesting thing. Their defense
Their
is so good.
amazing. Props to
I think they're number 2 or 3. Because I
think-
would say the Rams, the Steelers, and Washington are the 3 best defenses in football.
Yeah, and it's really their defensive line is so terrifying, dude. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Chase Young and freaking Montez Sweat is just chilling there, just like this beast of a man.
Well,
that
Jonathan Allen is not getting enough credit.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the fact that you have a guy like Montez Sweat and he's not even like being talked about. When you have a guy that talented and athletic and he doesn't even get talked about, that shows like how good your defense is because he's barely spoken of and he's like a monster.
Oh, absolutely.
And then obviously Chase Young and
I
like
saw
you
him
said,
run 40 yards to chase down or scrambling quarterback.
remember in Madden, Montez Sweat had like 94 speed.
Yep.
Dude.
Well, we knew he was special, at the combine.
Yeah.
It's funny. Tyler Peake's WFT primetime game, and he has that emoji like full
I
why.
know.
But this isn't to knock either of those teams. I'm sure this is a huge night for the Washington football team fans.
Yeah, dude, they made it. They fought tooth and nail. They beat the Steelers when the Steelers were unbeatable.
I mean, their head coach went through cancer.
Yeah,
so he's out with cancer. They've had 4 different quarterbacks: Kyle Allen, Heineke, Alex Smith, Dwayne Haskins.
And you can complain about like them being 7-9, but bro, they won their division. No one else was winning their games, so they're in there.
They started to look pretty good towards the end of the year, and they did beat the Steelers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
they took us off our hot streak.
Yeah.
They were our first loss.
So there you go. I mean, they
gave us bad luck, man. They put a 3-game losing streak.
But no, I look at this game, and I mean, you have to talk about the Buccaneers' offense. When they can get going, and when they protect Brady, they can score with anybody.
Oh my
and
God.
Washington can't. So how do you win a game like this?
Turnovers.
Washington's defense has to, create turnovers. Chase Young talked a lot of smack about this game.
Did he?
Yes.
I didn't see that.
I want to see Chase Young get in on Tom Brady and back up what he was saying. Chase Young, no one was debating if this guy was the best pass rusher in last year's class at all. He's a man-child. He actually looks like Predator, with the giant dress.
He's just built different, literally, physically.
Yeah,
it's scary.
Absolutely. So I'm definitely looking forward to. Seeing Chase Young tonight. Rookie in a huge spotlight game, and they're playing at home. And I understand, fans in attendance is very up in the air with everything going on, and there's not like a huge home field advantage or anything. But you don't have to travel. Keep that in mind. These guys have been able to stay at home there. And, man, Washington's defense, though, is really giving them a shot. And let's not forget when Haskins started. So Haskins isn't even on the roster now. Not long ago, he was starting against Seattle in an opportunity to win that game.
Right.
To me, I think that Washington is going to actually stop Tom Brady from throwing for, however many yards. I don't think Tampa Bay is going to score 40 in this game. I think it's going to be a relatively close game. I'm probably going to go with the Bucs. But before we get into any of the predictions or anything, let's talk more about the Buccaneers because we're kind of gushing about Washington, their defense. The Buccaneers' offense, Mike Evans had a little bit of a knee issue.
Before you go there, we do just have to say, because I feel like it needs to be said.
Yes.
Once Washington gets a quarterback, they are going to take over the NFL. You already have Terry McLaurin.
Oh, yeah.
You already have the defense we just gushed over.
Antonio Gibson, he's going to be active. So.
Yeah. You get a quarterback and maybe one more piece on the O. Dude, come on. They're going to be scary.
Well, the thing that stinks about that is, McLaurin, what he's doing, he's been double-teamed. Because he's
with no consistent quarterback.
Yeah, and the next best receiving option is a former quarterback in Logan Thomas.
Exactly.
We liked him coming out of Virginia Tech. I forget what school he went to.
But
it just the fact
they're
Logan
there.
Thomas
They're almost there.
Yeah, they are, and I think in this draft it's definitely going to help him out. Also, one thing to keep in mind, Kelvin Harmon, who was very high on my board coming out.
Yep.
He had a little bit of a solid year last year. I thought he put together some good things. But this year he actually opted out before the season. So either he opted out or he suffered a season-ending injury. Either way, they didn't have him. I think if they had him, it would have been easier for McLaurin, and I think it would have been easier on all four quarterbacks that started at center this year. So I think it'll be interesting without Alex Smith. But we have to talk about that. Alex Smith is no longer the mobile quarterback he was. So you're not getting the full Alex Smith. It's really upsetting, obviously. Yeah. We know why.
Hey, at least he's freaking alive and he has his legs.
Yeah. No, you're staring into space
I'm just bro.
Wow.
I remember, I'm thinking of that picture. It's ingrained in my brain. Did you see it?
Absolutely.
The picture of his leg?
Oh, yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, well, he's...
It looked like a dry-aged steak. You ever see a dry-aged steak? That's what brutal. It looked like, bro.
That is brutal.
Okay, so, all right. I just wanted to say that, though, and acknowledge that they're literally a quarterback away.
Yeah, they are.
But
absolutely.
Go on to what you were going to say about Tampa.
Well, Tampa, their offense, you obviously you have to talk about Tom Brady. He ended up throwing for 40 touchdowns, I believe 13 interceptions.
He had a great year, man.
He had a very, very good year. But there were times during that year.
There was some weird stuff.
He had some really weird stuff where I know firsthand the Rams gave him fits. Great defense. You know who else is a great defense?
Washington.
New Orleans.
Oh.
New Orleans gave him fits. Both games.
Yep.
The Bears. They won the game.
Yep.
Remember the whole fourth, third,
yes.
fourth, that was a meme for weeks.
Yep.
It still is. They gave him fits. Bears have a good defense with Chuck Pagano. So Washington is going to give him fits, I think.
They probably will because they're going to be able to pressure him. And that's always been his biggest thing is if you get pressure on Brady, you have a chance.
So how do you attack this Washington team? Both of our teams played Washington. I think the Rams got Washington at the best time to play them. I think the Steelers got them at the absolute worst time to play them. Washington was coming off a win to start off the season, and we didn't really expect them to beat Philly. We didn't realize how bad Philly was going to be this year either.
Right.
So they beat Philly, and then they don't win a game for much longer after that.
Yep.
When they played the Rams, they were pretty much around rock bottom. You were thinking they're not going to make the playoffs, what have you. They played the Steelers, though, and at that point, they're starting to gain momentum.
Yeah.
So I would say, from what I saw in the Rams game, I wouldn't be able to add much to that. The Rams won 30-10 in a rainy game.
Well, yeah.
But the Steelers, that's kind of more what we're gonna see. That what you saw. I watched the game too, but what you saw firsthand against your team, I feel like that's the Washington team that we're gonna see the most. Well, then,
it's pretty easy. The defense has to win them the game.
Yeah.
Because that's what they did for the Steelers. They kept it super low scoring. It's not like, they were attacking the Steelers in the secondary or attacking them, with the run game. I think Antonio Gibson went out really early, actually, against the Steelers.
Yeah.
So it was literally just a defensive battle, and I think they won the turnover battle, and that was it. So they just kept it low scoring, and they won the turnover battle. So I think they have to do that with Brady, obviously. Just keep it super low scoring and pray to God that when the clock strikes 0, you scored at least, 2 more points than the Bucs. I don't think there's anything magical going on. I think their offense struggles because They don't have like a consistently good quarterback to get the ball to Terry McLaurin. And, the run game is okay, but Antonio Gibson's still kind of figuring out his role as a running back. And so I think that's what you do. They just play really good defense, generate turnovers.
I really want to see them on offense. They really got to get Antonio Gibson going on both sides.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure.
But I really want to see them use Logan Thomas. Because that size
in what way?
In the red zone.
Okay.
If they get there, that's who they need to go to. He has been very good for them. Very, very underrated this year. But kind of just, looking at it, a guy that we didn't mention in the trenches, and another guy, Ryan Kerrigan. He's not really a starter anymore, but he's still a solid contributor.
Yep.
But Deron Payne, big guy in the trenches.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
They are so loaded.
They're so loaded. I forgot about him, dude.
That, they have a guy that ran for over 5 yards per carry in Ronald Jones. He almost had 1,000 yards.
Yep.
And I think Tampa wants to have, in this playoff game, I think they're going to try to establish the run before they.
Well, they have to, because your quarterback's going to take over.
They have Mr. Risk It No Biscuit.
Yeah, I guess.
Bruce Arians.
Sure.
So, but I like the way that Ronald Jones has played, and I think if they can run against this forefront, with Chase Young, Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, and
it opens everything up.
It will open everything up. But this is the thing. Do you think they can run against them?
It's going to be tough, man. I don't look at the Bucs as like a great running football team. I really don't.
I think
they're okay.
Their passing attack has made the running game look way inflated. They look way better than
exactly, dude. Because when they've taken over games, man, they've blown people out, and it's just this 1-2 punch of the run and pass game. But I don't think the run game has been their staple by any stretch. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely not.
And then you're asking me going against the D-line, what Washington has? That's going to be tough. It's going to be really tough. So
I mean, also, we could talk about Tom Brady's offensive line versus Washington's. I think they're starting Cornelius Lucas, I think he was on the Rams practice squad 2 years ago, and he's starting at left tackle. And Tampa, they got a guy who I absolutely love in this past draft. He was my number 1 tackle in the draft, Tristan Wirfs, out of Iowa.
Yep.
They have Alex Kappa, a 3rd-round pick that, I think it was Humbert or whatever state. Alex Kappa. Ryan Jensen was a huge free agency signing, because he played in Baltimore.
Yep.
Very nasty center.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Really can punch you in the mouth.
Yep.
Ali Marpet, you and I loved him coming out. That was Hobart.
Yep.
And then they have Donovan Smith. So, I mean, Brady's protected.
He is, but it's hard to protect. I don't care who your O-line is.
Oh, no, it absolutely is. And the Rams showed you in that primetime game that they can get through with Leonard Floyd, Aaron Donald, Michael Brockers. I mean, I think that Washington has comparable talent. I think they're probably more talented, besides the fact they don't have Aaron Donald.
Yeah, I think if you're Tampa, you want to win this through the air a little bit more than what people might predict.
Yeah.
But you also got to get the ball out quick, which Brady is good at doing.
He is
so
good.
that does
he's got a
him and AB
quick release.
And him and AB are getting on a better and better page.
He's becoming a threat.
Yeah,
he really is.
So
they have him. I mentioned earlier Mike Evans with the knee. I think he's going to play.
I think so.
Chris Godwin has not been used correctly this year.
Well, it's hard to use everyone,
but
their weapons are insane, dude.
I know.
It's so stupid.
They got Tyler Johnson.
It's so stupid.
In this as well in the 5th round. It's crazy. But they have Tyler Johnson. They have Scotty Miller, the guy that can really help them in the slot if they need him. Gronkowski has been a pain to defend this year. I mean, he started off. He runs like he's what did you say? He runs like he's running in cement.
Yeah, it's bad. He can't really move anymore, but he's still
going to catch everything.
Because him and Brady are they know what each other's going to do.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I mean that offense is just insane, dude. The weapons they have, it's crazy. It's so crazy.
So how, if you are Tampa?
Yeah.
What do you double McLaurin? Do you not even bother because I mean. I don't know. I think I just play my game, to be honest.
I think you just play your game against that offense.
Do you play Jamel Dean or do you play Carlton Davis on McLaurin? I think they're both on.
I think Davis.
Davis?
Yeah, I would go Davis. I like his skill set a little more. I feel like for that, but I don't know.
Here's an X factor for you: Isaiah Wright. the wide receiver. He's been their return guy. Isaiah Wright for Washington. Watch out for him. They're going to get him moving. Jet motion, whether they use him on end arounds or just they want to use him in the slot. I think he's a mismatch.
Yeah.
Very very quick guy, and he could be a disaster in the slot if Tampa continues to just put all their emphasis on Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Tampa's game plan here should just be tire out the D line. So a lot of starting off the game, a lot of quick passes. Just get that ball out quick, so they're rushing but not getting anywhere. They get tired. Run off of that, tire them out physically, and then you take your shots where you can towards the latter portions of the game if you need to. Yeah. That's how I would play Washington.
So, predictions.
Yeah, I mean, I just bragged about how great Washington is and stuff, but dude, Tampa. I gotta go Tampa.
Yeah, I'm feeling that as well. Right now, I'm in the boat of an ugly game. Okay.
You're thinking ugly game?
I'm thinking it's ugly.
Okay.
Like, I'm talking 20-16 ugly.
Really? So close. You're saying so
it's going to be
Washington
close.
has a chance the whole game.
Washington has a chance the whole game because of their defense. And,
okay.
And they know that. They know relatively, like Heineke has to come in. If he plays like he did in relief, a few weeks ago or what have you, like, they have a chance to win the game.
Yeah.
If Heineke comes in and plays how I'm expecting him to, they're going to lose. And it's not going to necessarily be his fault. It's the fact his defense is great. He's just not the type of quarterback, in my opinion, that can overcome. But then again, I made a video for like the whole John Wolford thing, showing all these backups that came in. Like Frank Reich came in and won a wild card game for the Bills. He came back from 28 down in that game and won a wild card for the Bills without Jim Kelly. So, I mean, it's happened before. We've seen backups come in and succeed. But I don't know. Taylor Heineke, to me, it doesn't – like Alex Smith is kind of a backup this year because it was Haskins and then it was Kyle Allen.
Yep.
So Alex Smith is arguably the third quarterback. And if they win, they might get Kyle Allen next week. But, I mean, I just think Heineke – I could see a scenario where it's 20-16 and Washington is moving the ball down the field, but they're running out of time.
Mm-hmm.
And they are getting yards actually running the ball. So they're actually running, and it's a battle against the clock. Antonio Gibson's carving up the defense, and Taylor Heineke has to win it, and they just don't trust him. So I just could see them running out of time and not scoring a touchdown.
Okay, well, I see Tampa kind of handling business today, to be honest.
They absolutely could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
they definitely could. I think these wild card games are going to surprise people.
It's just a matter of if Bruce Arians can keep it together and keep that game plan going because he loves to just break it and frickin' I know Bruce Arians was the Steelers O coordinator for a long time, so I know a lot about how he is.
Yeah, the no risk it, no biscuit mentality.
But I would say Tampa handles it pretty comfortably. Say Tampa 30, Washington 17.
I don't think that's bad, though. I don't think Washington fans will look at that and be like, dude,
they got into the playoffs. I mean, what do you want from – I mean, they didn't have a quarterback. They were carousel all year long.
The thing that bums me out is if Kyle Allen was ready, I think they win this game. I really do.
Maybe, bro.
So moving on, this is a brutal game, right?
Are we going to the Sunday's games?
We're going to Sunday's
games.
Okay,
let's do a quick intermission because I got to run to the bathroom. So.
Quick intermission.
All right, quick intermission, yo. I'll mute the mics too. Okay, we are back.
We are back, and we are going to be talking about the Sunday games, even though the Saturday games have not happened yet.
Bills game starting right now.
Yeah, Rocky Sin is not going to play for the Colts, so we'll see
Oh, no way.
how that changes things, but that is kind of a significant loss. But here's the thing. I think they really did a nice job with all these matchups. I mean, obviously they didn't schedule them. These teams earn these matchups, but
Right.
the Ravens and Titans game absolutely blows my mind. That's going to be a wild card weekend matchup. The Ravens are a team that I thought was a Super Bowl team coming in the year. They fell off a little bit coming. No,
I knew.
hear me out.
I knew they weren't.
Hear me
Just
out.
saying.
So their offense hasn't looked the way it did last year.
No.
Obviously.
Nope.
I do think they got cocky and traded away Hayden Hurst way too early. I think Hayden Hurst had more to do with that offense than people give him credit for. That was a 3 tight end offense. Then Nick Boyle goes down with an injury for the rest of the year, and they're stuck with Andrews, who, by the way, stop getting hurt.
Right, but he's amazing.
Oh,
Mark Andrews is phenomenal.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
He's great.
But I hear you.
They drafted 2 tight ends in that draft.
Yep.
But Lamar Jackson, what I saw towards the end of the year, the confidence was growing. And what I also saw is that the emergence of JkBogen, the rookie running back, Gus Edwards.
Yeah. Gus Edwards is just silently really good for them.
Like, Tyler's going to laugh when I say this. I don't know why, but all of a sudden Gus Edwards is fast.
He's always had a bit of explosion, dude.
He looked slower last year. I don't know what it is.
He's always just been
like I blinked and now this guy's fast.
He might have dropped some weight. I remember him maybe dropping weight. It might have been before last year, though. But either way, he's always been kind of like, that's what is so good about him is he's big and strong, but he also just hits the hole, like gets up to speed really quick. He's decisive. He's always been good.
I mean, I'm just really impressed with what the rookie Dobbins has done over
Oh,
the
yeah.
last
He's
4
good.
games.
He's going to be a good one.
Oh, absolutely.
They found a good one
But
with
you know
him.
what's interesting is that there was a worry about Hollywood Brown because he came out on Twitter and about like not getting thrown to.
Yep.
I'm not saying he's getting thrown to a lot, but I've seen more engagement with Lamar Jackson and him. I feel like they're getting more on the same page. And they're getting guys like Miles Boykin from Notre Dame, big body receiver, 6'4", runs a 4.4. They're getting him more involved. They have Willie Snead. They had a game in which it looked like Willie Snead was going to be the only receiver that played.
Yep.
We've seen all of that stuff this year. It's been crazy.
It's pretty standard,
Saints
actually.
Saints played without running backs.
I know.
Broncos played without quarterbacks.
The Browns had the game just 2 weeks ago, I think it was, where they had all their receivers out pretty much.
Yeah,
I mean, it's been hitting everyone, yeah.
So, and we'll get into the Browns coming up a little bit later. But this game, talking a lot about the Ravens. The Titans are Arthur Smith, their OC. There's a reason why he's getting all of this buzz as a head coach. Because he's absolutely changed this offense.
Yeah.
This offense with Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill, all of a sudden, like Adam Gase should never get a job again because of how good Ryan Tannehill now looks with the Titans as opposed to what he did with Miami.
It's crazy, dude.
It's insane. It's night and day.
And it's not even a fluke.
No, it's not.
If it was just a fluke, last year would have been it, but he's done it again the whole year this year.
Yeah,
absolutely. Good for him, man, and good for the Titans.
King Henry.
Oh,
how
my
about
God,
him?
dude.
I mean, let's put it this way. He came into Week 17's game. He had 1,777 yards.
Yeah.
No way he was going to get near to the 2108 that Eric Dickerson had. That's the all-time record for rushing in a year. He finished over 2,000.
Yeah, dude.
He actually made it kind of like what if.
He's just insane. He's on
really
another
is.
level. He's the best. I mean, total like running back. Because obviously now running backs do it all.
Yeah.
But as far as like just a pure running back, he is far and away like the best in the NFL. It's crazy. Watching him run is just awesome. It's fun, dude. It's crazy.
Well, you know how high I was in that draft on him. I
you
loved
were.
him.
You did love him. Yeah.
Our aunt actually taught him, but that's neither here nor there. So I thought it was really cool though how like the Titans throughout the year they would be like, well, we don't really have it going on offense for whatever reason, like the passing attack, and they'd just be like, all right, Henry, win us the game, and he would do it. He would literally win them the game.
Yep.
He ragdolled, all sorts of
everyone.
Yeah, everyone.
Just
everyone's a meme.
Insert
now
name here. Yeah.
But, the Titans have gone through some injuries at tight end. They've kind of fluctuated between Johnny Smith, who I think is very talented out of Florida International, third-round pick. He's actually, if you remember, he's the guy that had the boiling water poured on him by his ex. I'm assuming his ex-girlfriend.
I don't remember that, but yeah.
He had that injury where he had boiling water poured on him. So he goes in the third round. He's had a solid career, but I feel like he could be a lot better. He took over for Delaney Walker, who was a stud and eventually hit a wall. But the guy out of, I believe, Harvard, I want to say, Anthony Ferkser has played good football this year. He's been really good for them. Ryan Tannehill has really relied on his tight ends, but not only that, A.J. Brown, who hasn't been fully healthy this year, but he still is so talented. And another guy who has been labeled a bust, and we can call him a bust for where he was picked, Corey Davis.
Yeah.
Corey Davis is going to be a hot commodity in free agency because of how he played this year. And I think Corey Davis is a guy, one game, you clean slate playoff. We keep talking about the clean slate. Corey Davis could be special in this game. He could be huge for them. They're going to go up against guys like Marlon Humphrey, Marcus Peters.
Yeah,
that's a loaded secondary in the back end.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
And obviously, a guy like Chuck Clark, who I think is a very underrated safety. So, yeah, they're going to have to get those guys involved because A.J. Brown, they know they're going to go to A.J. Brown.
Yep.
A.J. Brown's the guy. So, I think this will be interesting here.
It's going to be a fun one to watch, dude. They just match up in a fun way.
They do. Now, Baltimore's defense is a lot better. And here's the weird thing. Vrabel is a defensive-minded coach. So we saw this team really start to find something on their defense last year. Similar to Buffalo. Buffalo, defensive-minded coach, all of a sudden kind of become more of an offensive team.
Go where your strengths are, though.
Tennessee has become somewhat of an offensive team.
Yeah.
Do you think, like we talked about with Buffalo, they have been trending upwards as we moved on towards the year?
Yep.
The Titans' defense has not. That could be them setting their own grave. Now,
sure.
Do you think, with the pure talent they have on defense, that they can get over their shortcomings this season? Or
probably
do you
not.
feel as though, because right off the bat, if that's the case, Baltimore has fewer weaknesses?
No, probably not. You're probably, you're relying on them as an offensive team right now. I think if you're the Titans, you got to rely on your offense. It's what got them there. And
they beat the Ravens last year.
Yeah. I just don't see the defense doing anything special.
Yeah.
In the playoffs, I see them being pretty standard for what they've been. And you just got to ride Henry, man. He's the workhorse.
Henry can win you a game entirely.
Develop the play action off of him, what you've been doing. A.J. Brown. Yeah, Ryan Tannehill. I think those are the guys that are making these gears spin for them. So I don't think you rely on the defense or expect the defense to shut out the Ravens or do anything special this game. Mm-hmm. And the Ravens have gotten a lot better. It was weird. They started out good, went into a downward spiral.
I feel like I know why, though.
And then they picked it back up.
Ronnie Stanley was out for the year. So when they lost Ronnie Stanley...
But he's been out.
Well, yeah, but that's when you start to see them. You have to get used to playing without your left tackle.
You do.
It's actually weird. These two teams are very similar because the Titans lost Taylor Lewan for the year.
They did.
And they had to get used to playing without Taylor Lewan.
Yep.
They have now Kessenberry at left tackle, Roger Saffold. I was wondering if they would go Saffold to tackle, his experience with the Rams back in St. Louis at tackle.
Yeah.
But they decided to keep him at guard where he obviously dominates and move David Kessenberry at that spot at left tackle. But aside from that, I don't love their offensive line by any stretch.
Nah.
Without Taylor Lewan, they're exposed in my opinion.
Yeah, but luckily Derrick Henry doesn't need a crazy O-line to take over
clear.
a game.
Probably the closest modern day version to a Steven Jackson I've seen.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't need an offensive line.
He just eats people.
He
just eats people. But yeah.
Their defense, they have talent. I just don't feel like everything's come together this year. Another guy that no one talks about, they got Desmond King, in the back end of the secondary. He's been really good in his career, kind of a steal in the 5th round out of Iowa. And they have guys like Malcolm Butler and
they got him for
Adoree
cheap.
Jackson. So,
didn't the Chargers have Desmond King prior? It was the Chargers, right?
Yeah, the Chargers had him.
And they gave him away for a 5th? Was it? Wasn't it a 5th round pick?
I remember. I think it was a. I think it was a free agent. No, it was a trade. It was a trade.
Yeah, and I think it was like really cheap.
I don't know why they got rid of
don't-
him.
yeah.
I mean, then again, the Chargers, they have all this talent. They still haven't figured it out. So
That's
I don't
true.
know.
Yeah.
But they have guys, like Harold Landry that I really like. Jeffrey Simmons is finally playing this year. Jeffrey Simmons missed all of last year with the injury.
Yep.
So he's an interesting one there. Daquan Jones. And then, I mean, Harold Landry and Rashaan Evans are really key in the linebacker group for this team. I don't. To me, this defense can surprise you. I just, they lost Clowney for the year. I think they really expected Clowney to have a huge role.
Oh,
and
they
the fact
did.
That he got hurt.
Well, anytime you bring Clowney in, you expect him to, be a big piece.
So they do have, one of your favorite safeties in the game in Kevin Byard.
Yep.
And I think I'm going to give him some credit because Kenny Vaccaro was a bust early in his career. And I feel like he's kind of put together – he's fallen into his niche. I think he's put together a solid revitalization of his career in Tennessee.
Yeah, he has. They use him how they should. They don't ask him to do too much, which is good.
Well, you don't want him to do too much.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, this team has talent on both sides of the football. They're definitely an offensive-minded team, though, 100%.
Yes. What do you think of the Ravens right now?
Well, the Ravens...
Do you think the end to their season is more indicative of who they are? How they ended it?
I do.
Okay.
I think the Ravens are the scariest team in the playoffs.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Did.
Because I think that...
I don't know.
Well, hear me out. I think because they came in third in their division,
yeah,
that has to be motivation for them. Because they know that they probably could have won this division if they, the way they're playing right now. I think the problem with the Ravens is that, and you know this, Steelers have figured out how to stop Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
So... the Steelers are the only team
Just
that
don't
really know how to play Lamar Jackson.
Don't let him run around.
And, yeah, but there's more to it. I think they do a nice job schematically of stopping him.
Don't let him throw to his tight ends, and don't let him run around.
And
make him earn it.
The guy in the middle, who of course you don't have now in Devin Bush.
Of course,
having a guy
but
like
that goes
spying is just
that goes with the hand in hand with don't let him run around.
Yeah, exactly.
But
so I do think though. Teams are starting to let Lamar Jackson run around.
They've gotten lazy. They've started playing him lazy because I think they saw the drop in the Ravens team in general. And they were like, oh, okay, well, we don't have to be on our P's and Q's and schematically game plan as heavily for them now. And they picked it back up. They've responded.
No, I definitely agree with you. I mean,
and the Titans, do they have a linebacker who can spy him really well? Do they have an athletic freak? I don't think
Rashaan Evans is an athletic
he's
freak,
not
but
that,
I thought
though.
he tested pretty well.
Yeah, but I don't think he's that guy that you could be spy him right now, and he's like, okay, and then he just covers. I don't think so.
Maybe they use Desmond King as a.
Yeah, you're probably gonna have to use a nickel defender or something.
I would definitely go nickel, and I would definitely use King because King. They're gonna have all. They have not worked this hard all year. This defense. The way they're gonna have to work today.
It's true.
Lamar Jackson,
it's true.
Or tomorrow against Lamar Jackson.
They make you, be on point with everything for sure.
Now, also the thing here is that they've been susceptible to giving up the deep ball.
Who? The Titans?
The Titans.
Yeah.
And I think when you have a guy like obviously Hollywood Brown, you have a guy that they drafted in Devin Duvernay in the third round out of Texas. They can test you deep.
They can.
And the seam busters that we've talked about for years. Well, obviously, I think Mark Andrews does it just as good as anybody.
He's one of the best, yeah.
So they're definitely going to have their work cut out for them. I did mention, the Ravens lost Ronnie Stanley. They put Orlando Brown, former third-round pick out of Oklahoma, a guy that everyone picked apart, but he ended up actually carving out a pretty good career so far.
Yeah.
And then they have guys like Bozeman and Skura and Ben Powers and DJ Fluker. So they're more big. They're not a very athletic offensive line, but they're
powerful.
Well, they just ran for 350 yards.
That's what it is, man. That's why the Ravens have picked it back up because they've leaned back into the run game, which is all they should do.
I think with Stanley, I think they tried to be more of a balanced team. I think they heard the criticism about Lamar Jackson and throwing the ball deep down the field, and they got guys they go out and get a Duvernay.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, I do think that really hurt them, and they had to learn how to play to their strengths. And now their strength is entirely running the football.
Right.
Lamar Jackson, as you know, can break off 65-yard touchdown. So can Dobbins. Gus Edwards is a problem, and you still have Justice Hill and Mark Ingram as well. Patrick Ricard, I have to mention him. His job as a fullback, he has been huge blocking as a lead blocker.
Yeah.
So they've gone more power running approach. Their defense, though, they have so much on their defense that, like, the Titans have a talent. The Ravens are loaded. Like, when we came out of the draft thinking, wow, the Ravens really just got so much better.
Yeah.
They go out and they get Malik Harrison, a guy that I think I mocked to the Steelers.
Well,
they got Patrick Queen.
The thing about their draft was, like, everyone fell to the Ravens.
It just fell right.
It was stupid. They just sat there, and, like, great players kept falling to them.
That team and the
it was the luckiest.
Like, everybody.
It was the luckiest draft, though. They didn't have to do anything.
Yeah.
They just sat there, and
sometimes the best move you make is the one that you don't make.
Yeah.
So,
like, they just sat there, and all their holes that they had matched up perfectly with great players that fell to them at that point. I was like, this is like perfect. This is like a perfect draft for them.
Oh, yeah.
It was insane.
Let's prediction. What do we got?
God, that's hard, man. I'll
Tyler
go Titans.
Says, don't count the Titans out. Henry can break that game. Definitely think that he can.
Yeah.
So you're going Titans.
Yeah, I'm going Titans. Just because I think they're home. That's pretty much it. I feel like these teams are really, really evenly matched. And I just think home field advantage. And Derrick Henry, of course, is going to be what pushes them over the edge, I think.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Ravens here. So we've gone back.
I know, and we're not even doing that. We're not even trying to.
I like this. Okay, so I'm going to go the Ravens here. I think Lamar Jackson is playing very well right now, but I think they figured out what they are. It was a little bit of a worry, and honestly, we talked about earlier with, we have an idea of what Washington is. They're not really much of an offensive team, but their offensive mentality is they have two guys that they're going to rely on in the passing game and one guy in the running game.
Yep.
The Rams, they're trying to figure out their identity on offense. The Ravens figured out their identity before the postseason. I think that's very important. And the Titans are they can do out their identity. The better team, I think the Ravens win this game. I'm going to say right now 27-20.
Okay. 27. Wow, okay. So a whole touchdown.
I think Derrick Henry is going to have a huge game. But I think also, you have to look at what Dobbins and, Gus Edwards are doing and Lamar Jackson. And I think that tandem is going to be impressive.
Okay. I don't feel the same way. I feel like I'm going Titans.
Yeah,
just because
it could go either way.
I've seen the up and down nature of the Ravens, and you said they have an identity. I feel like they're still kind of questionable as far as what their attack is going to be. And I've just seen more consistency, and I feel like for the first week and wild card weekend, I really lean towards like consistency.
Yeah.
For who I pick. So I'm going to go Titans here. And again, like I said, I think it's just Derrick Henry he continues to do what he does. And Ryan Tannehill going to do what he does, plays play action off of that. So I would say Titans 21. Nah, you know what? Titans 24, Ravens 21. I think it's close. Again, I think they're really evenly matched. I do. And I just think the home field advantage plus the more consistent, nature of the Titans in general is going to get them the win.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be.
Yeah.
It's going to be a game to watch. I think I'm most excited to see that one on Sunday. I like them all, to be honest with you. The next one we have the Chicago Bears are taking on the Saints. Bears are 8-8. Saints are 12-4. You would think at first Bears have no chance, right?
Yeah, pretty much. That's my assumption.
But I don't really think that. And I'm not saying I'm going to pick him, but I'm saying that I don't think Mitch Trubisky's getting enough credit for what he's done for this team. I don't think that David Montgomery's getting enough credit because I wasn't giving him enough credit.
He's been great the last quarter of the season.
This team,
yeah.
Last quarter of the season. And Chuck Pagano's done a nice job with this defense. I still don't like the way they use Eddie Jackson. I just have to say that out there.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Eddie Jackson fan, and Vic Fangio used him potentially as the most scary player in the back end of a secondary in the league.
Yep.
And now I feel like he doesn't really use him the same way. But regardless, the Bears defense has teams problems. And I think, if Trubisky plays, say, against the Rams in that game, I think the game's a little different. I think Nick Foles made this offense very, very bland and predictable. And I think when Trubisky came back in as the starter, the guy that he came out with a winning record with him under center, I felt like the offense had more of a dimension, especially with his ability to run. And Trubisky's a guy, he's thrown, 6 touchdowns in a game before? I mean, he can do it. It's not every game.
Everyone can do that. Everyone.
Well, absolutely. But I just feel like Trubisky lately, obviously he's the best one to start over Foles. But I like that he's kind of commanded this offense. I like the way he's playing lately. Obviously, going into the playoffs and losing as bad as they
Playoffs
did
is
to
so
Green
different.
Bay,
Yeah.
that's the problem. But I don't know. I feel a little bit different about the Bears. I'm not saying they're going to win, but Allen Robinson has been a monster. He always is.
Oh, well, he's always been great. I don't know, man. I'm not sold on the Bears at all. To me, I look at them and I'm like, what do they do? Great. Nothing. They're 8-8. It's like they're just they're solid. They're okay. They got into the playoffs. Kudos for that. Props for that. But I feel like this is kind of no competition here.
Yeah, I don't love their offensive line, but I do like that Trubisky has that dynamic to mobility. He can get out of the pocket and make them pay. His problem is we've talked about this. His problem is reading coverages. At the end of the day, he's not a quick processor. He's actually very similar to Jared Goff. I feel like he's mobile Goff in a sense, obviously with less going for him. But I'm talking Goff right now. That's kind of how I see Trubisky. So with Montgomery getting going in the running game, because they lost Tariq Cohen to start the season early on, I feel like he was going to be a huge part of their passing attack and the running game. He gets hurt. David Montgomery has taken over as the lead back and the bell cow. He went over
finally
1,000 yards. We've been waiting for this to happen.
Hey, I liked him from day one.
You liked him. I wasn't as high on him, but he's really started to emerge.
Yeah.
They have guys that I really like, and Allen Robinson, Darnell Mooney, 5th-round pick that I really like, and Anthony Miller, who's kind of been somewhat of a bust. 2nd rounder, 2018.
There was a lot of hype around him too coming out.
There definitely was. Now the tight ends, we've seen Jimmy Graham pretty much have a hold of the tight end position, but they drafted a guy by the name of Cole Kmet in the 2nd round.
Yep.
Out of Notre Dame, and I think getting Cole Kmet acclimated to the offense as the year progressed will help him in this playoff game. They're going to need all hands on deck on the offense. The defense doesn't worry me because when you look at this defense, it's just stacked beyond belief. Akeem Hicks, Bilal Nichols, the way he's playing, Khalil Mack, Roquan Smith, Danny Trevathan, Robert Quinn, Kyle Fuller, Tayshaun Gibson, Eddie Jackson, and the way Jalen Johnson, the rookies, played, out of Utah in the 2nd round. I mean, they have the talent. It's in comparison to the Saints' defense.
Sure.
So, I don't know. I feel like they're
not
giving as much credit as they should. I think.
Okay, so do you think they have a chance to win, though?
I think they do.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think the Saints, see, here's the thing. The Saints are very, they're a balanced attack.
Yes.
And I think...
How about that game Kamara had, dude? What was that?
That was...
That was insane, dude.
I think he got fined for wearing Christmas cleats.
I know. Whatever.
Get out of here with that.
Whatever, dude. So dumb.
Now, on the flip side, though, we can talk about the Saints and what they have. Obviously, Breeze is back. Breeze has... This could be a season run, too.
Yeah, there's rumors circulating.
We could have the same thing with Phillip Rivers, except this dude literally has won a Super Bowl before.
Yeah. What do you think of that? I feel like he's going to come back.
I feel like he should retire.
I mean, he should, but I feel like Drew Brees is that kind of guy who'll be like, we made the playoffs, so...
What I'm interested in is Sean Payton going to let go of the whole Taysom Hill thing? So, like, if Drew Brees comes back, will he be like, well, I already committed to starting Taysom Hill? Like...
I don't know, bro. He loves him.
The blowback he would get for that.
Yeah, he loves him.
I mean, that would just be, wow.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know how much Drew Brees entirely carry he doesn't really carry the Saints to me, and
You don't
they're
think he
not-
cares? Yeah, I don't
At
think
this
so.
point, I feel
At
like
this
he
point,
plays
no.
in Sean Payton's system, and he has games where he can go off, but he doesn't have the same arm strength.
No, well, how could you expect him to, though, you know?
I just don't. I don't know. He doesn't send off that vibe I used to get, where I'm like, wow, they can win any game.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And I feel like now they can win despite Drew Brees at times. Like,
Wow.
it sounds disrespectful to say that, but like with the way Kamara and the interesting thing is I don't think they're gonna have Michael Thomas.
Really? Okay, why? I didn't know that.
Well, because Michael Thomas is he's banged up, so I don't think they're gonna have Michael Thomas.
Huh, okay.
They don't have Michael Thomas.
That's big.
They're looking at Emmanuel Sanders, Marquez Callaway, Tyquan Smith, Austin Carr, Jawan Johnson, and Jake Kumara. Does that change your stance at all?
No, because I still think they're that much better than the Bears.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting, looking at it. And I think they just ruled out Trey Hendrickson, which is a huge loss. He's played very well this year.
I still don't think that's enough.
They're going to need Marcus Davenport to step up.
Yeah.
They've needed him to step up.
I know. They gave a lot for him, too.
First round pick in 2018. They spent 2 first rounders to get him.
Yeah.
And he has not lived up to the hype. I'll say that.
No, he hasn't.
Now,
absolutely not.
The Saints defense does a really nice job at stopping the run. So do you think that they're going to absolutely shut down David Montgomery?
No, not absolutely. I think he's shown he's figured some things out, and he can absolutely produce even when it's tough sledding in the run game and run blocking. So I don't think they'll be able to shut him down per se.
Okay, so it looks like Michael Thomas returned to practice, because I want to get more information on this. It's been hard to find information on all these guys. They're keeping it close to the vest. Like, we don't even know who's going to start for the Rams. 100%. We don't know who's going to start for Washington, crazy. But it sounds like they're leaning Heineke.
Yeah.
So that's why, I just wanted to let the viewers know, it's not that we're not prepared. It's just the information's not
Dude,
out.
it's on the fly. It's fine. It's really not a big deal. But I don't know, dude. I just see this game as easy money Saints to me.
Easy money?
Yeah, to me. And I don't know the NFC as well, so that could be my ignorance, but I just look at what I've seen from the Bears, and come on, I've seen enough of Mitch Trubisky to know.
I'm a little higher on Mitch Trubisky than you are.
Of course you are.
I don't love him, but I think he gets a lot of hate, and I think I think he's a solid quarterback that you continue to develop. I think they should bring him back.
How much? How much time does he freaking need, dude?
1 or 2 more years.
Yeah, okay. That's okay. Keep kicking that can down the road. He'll be 40. Just a couple more years, man. It's fine.
Yeah, but no. The thing is, at the end of the games, do you trust Pat Nagy more or Sean Payton?
I trust Drew Brees more.
Well, I trust Sean Payton more.
Okay.
To manage the
fine.
end of games.
Either way.
That's why I have the Saints winning, but I don't think it's going to be
I don't think it's going to be a blowout, though.
Well, I don't think it's going to be a shock if the Bears make it a close game.
Sure. Okay, I'll give you that. I'll concede that.
So I'll say the Saints win, mainly because I think Kamara has the ability to go off at any time.
No kidding.
I'm going to say the Saints win 28-24.
28-24. I think a little lower scoring. Say Saints 23-17.
23-17.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're both... See, it's kind of around the same lines as we're both thinking. I mean, your Washington score is a little bit away from, it being a closer game.
Yeah.
But for the most part, Wild Card Weekend is going to be down the wire for, all the games.
Yeah. Because you're also getting a feel for how these teams are going to be in the playoffs. It's the first week.
No, absolutely.
And a lot of these teams, this is, no breaks for a long time. So they're tired. There's just... You got to feel them out, see how they're going to respond to being in the playoffs. And so I'm not willing to call any, blowout shots right now.
No, I wouldn't do that. Now, here's one that your viewers are going to love, since we already predicted that game. We're on the final game of Wild Card Weekend.
Yeah.
It is a game that it's how many years in the making? I mean, we've been waiting for Steelers-Browns for a while in the playoffs.
18 years.
18 years in the making.
Yeah.
18 years, folks. So
Yep.
this game's huge.
Yeah,
it
it's
really
big.
is. And, you know, the Browns, imagine if they had Odell Beckham Jr., like what they would be right now.
I don't know that they'd be any better. He
He
didn't do anything for them. I think they've been way better, and he hasn't played.
Really?
Yeah, dude. I just don't think he
So-
meshes well with them.
So I think looking at this, you're not as high on Baker Mayfield. I'm not really that high on Baker Mayfield anymore.
I'm not that high on Baker Mayfield. I think he's good.
Do you think that
I think he's a franchise quarterback if you put pieces around him.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Like, you
but I
can-
think I was way too high on him at first.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I remember you really liked him.
Like, I really
You thought
liked
he
him.
would be that guy.
But he was my number one quarterback in that draft.
Yeah.
Lamar was. But I was very high on him.
Yep.
Now, what I've seen from Baker Mayfield is kind of the same thing as like what I saw from Josh Allen last year that he's kind of corrected. You know, being erratic with the ball and throwing. You know, there's sometimes Baker takes shots that just aren't even there and you don't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
This is his first playoff game. Okay, so this is very similar to Josh Allen. He had his first playoff game against Houston last year.
Yep.
And had some good things, had some poor things. Baker's had times where you're like, wow, Baker's playing well. But we've seen Baker crumble.
Well, here's the thing with Baker. He's a good football thrower, man. He has a cannon.
Oh, yeah.
When he can
Absolutely.
step into a throw, I mean, he's up there with like Josh Allen,
Mm.
Patrick Mahomes as far as arm strength. He can't do it as naturally as them as far as like just running around and then like awkward angle, all arm, and it's a cannon, a rocket. But if he's in the pocket, he can plant into it. The dude has like a missile. It's crazy. And I think his biggest strength and like why he's been so successful, and I've said this in a lot of videos I've made about the Browns, is because one, they have a good team now. There's so much talent there. It's just a good team no matter what.
Absolutely.
But then on top of that, they built a good foundation around him where it's really the running game that makes the offense go, and it's the offensive line. So Baker doesn't have to be that guy, which is good because he isn't that guy. Like, he's a good – you can live with him being your franchise quarterback, and he will win you games, and he can take you to the playoffs. He absolutely can. But it's been the Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt show. They're phenomenal.
I think they're the offense.
They
I
are.
really do.
It's the offensive line, and it's them. And then Jarvis Landry is your possession guy who moves the chains for you. And that system keeps it going. And then Baker just makes some plays here and there because he is mobile, and he can make some big-time throws. But if you're asking him to carry your team and your offense, that's when you get into trouble, which is what they were doing his first few years. Now that they've built a really good foundation around him, it doesn't surprise me that they're in the playoffs.
So here's an interesting game because the Steelers have played Cleveland twice.
Yep.
And, you know, it's similar to the rivalry game we are talking about the Rams. Seahawks, they played twice, but they were under different circumstances. So the Steelers
Yep.
beat them, I believe, 38-7 was the score.
Yeah, way at the beginning
At
of
the
the year.
beginning of the game, at the beginning of the year, Browns weren't entirely what they were now, and the Steelers weren't even what they were now. So a little different. The second game, Ben doesn't play, Big Ben.
Yep.
The Cleveland Browns are fighting for a playoff spot.
Yeah.
Like, they have to win. And the Steelers, I didn't see true passion out of
No.
them in that game. I don't feel like they really cared.
Did you see the Minka Fitzpatrick's tackle attempt on Chubb?
No, I didn't. I might have seen it.
He
but, yeah.
reached out for him and just gave up. He clearly wasn't trying to sacrifice any big hits to stop him.
No, I don't think it's any, I've seen conspiracy stuff out there. Like, the Steelers wanted to play the Browns, so they threw the game. I don't think they threw the game.
They played to win, bro.
They played to win.
At the end.
Well, people forget the Steelers, Ben Roethlisberger almost beat the Browns, playing their hearts out.
Right.
So, I guess my thing here is, what's the argument you make that this game won't be like earlier in the year?
I mean, it's a good question. It's a fair question, but I would just say beginning of the year, the Steelers were better than they are right now, I think.
They also were healthier.
Healthier,
They had Bud Dupree and they had
more well-rested.
Devin Bush.
Yeah. And I think the Browns are better than they were at the beginning of the year a little bit. So I think it's just going to be naturally more competitive. And
It's also, prime time.
Yeah.
The stakes are high. But could I not make the argument that if this gets into a showdown between Ben Roethlisberger and Baker Mayfield, this game's over, it's the Steelers' game?
yeah, if they start airing it out, it's not going to be pretty. Because the Steelers' pass rush is carrying this defense, So
it's still really good. Like I need to explain. I need you to explain that because I've heard people say, "Well, since Bud Dupree left, this pass rush isn't good." It's not that it's not good. It may not be as good with.
it's not as good, but Alex Highsmith is every week. Every week he does something crazy. He is developing a filthy spin move on
he's had that.
like Dwight Freeney levels though, where like he spins so fast, if you blink you'll miss it, and if you blink you'll miss it, and he leaves the dude behind him, and you're like, geez, he's gonna be good
at DTR. Absolutely loved him.
Yeah.
Alexis and I spoke with him on the podcast.
But he has some issues. He has some containment issues. That's his biggest weakness right now, is that lack of experience just playing the run. Because assignment sound, cover your gaps, know where to bounce the run. How great
a pick was that to go out, get him, and now instead of panicking that you don't have Dupree, you have a guy that can come in and play.
Yeah. It's huge that we had him.
Huge.
Yeah.
By the Steelers.
Yep.
So, interestingly enough, though, we talk about how the engine of the offense essentially is the Browns' run game.
Oh, yeah.
The Steelers are also like one of the best defenses in football, and they will shut you down in the run game.
Yeah.
So, I guess for Browns fans like watching this, how on earth do we win tonight?
You run the ball. You just have to successfully run the ball, and you have to pressure. You have to pressure Ben. I mean, you don't have to shut down the Steelers' run game because the Steelers' run game is already shutting itself down. It sucks. So there's nothing there to worry about.
They started to see something last week.
Dude, it was just, trust me, the run blocking is still miserable.
I don't even think it's the running backs. Like I don't look at like.
No, it's not. It's the run. It's the run blocking. No, it's the run blocking. Yeah. It's the biggest piece. But I say if you're the Browns and you're trying to win this game, just pressure Ben. Take away the easy throws because it's the Steelers. They're going to try and do it again because that's what they do. They're dumb, and they go back to that stuff for whatever reason, even though it hasn't worked. Take those away, and then just take away when they transition to their more traditional offense, if they try to respond to that. And I think in your run game, I carry you because you have to let Baker build his passing game off of the run game.
No, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
And at the end of this, I do want to go over all the teams and kind of highlight if we believe that any of them are Super Bowl teams. We'll just go through and do that. But we're not done with this game. Not even close. So we got about 15 minutes left in the show. Looking at this Steelers team, they have shown me, at one point or another, I felt like they were the best team in football. I think they can get back to that.
The Steelers?
And I think here's the thing. It's very crazy to me how they didn't have a 1,000-yard receiver because they have 3 great receivers.
Yeah.
But, again, clean slate. I love the way Deontay Johnson came on in the second half of the season. Chase Claypool, I don't feel like was getting the same production for no fault on him, but more so Randy Fichtner. So the thing that scares me the most about the Steelers is I feel like on paper this team shouldn't have an issue with this game. But I think Randy Fichtner could actually derail this offense.
Oh, he could. Yeah.
And that worries me if I'm Pittsburgh, a fan, because obviously they're not worried. They keep trying him out there to be the play caller. But I think if you just let Ben throw, if you let him play his game, he's played in big moments. He's won 2 Super Bowls.
Yep.
I'm not worried about Ben Roethlisberger in a sense of, going out and winning a playoff game. What I'm worried about is a guy stepping in front of Big Ben and saying, nope, we're going to try to do all sorts of... there's no need to run these 3-yard out plays that offer nothing. I watch so much, like with Steelers film, I watch so much where Ben has a deep threat down the field, and the play design forces Ben to shoot to, the flat.
Right.
And it's like the flat gives you 2 yards, but the potential, you have Big Ben who can throw the ball. I don't feel like, despite what I've heard, his deep ball has kind of faltered. I don't believe that at all. I think
he just hasn't been asked to.
Yeah, exactly.
Their offense is not built around it right now for whatever reason.
He can make all the throws, and they have 3 receivers legitimately in Deontay Johnson. Well, they have 4 because James Washington.
Yeah.
So they're very deep at wide receiver, and if Eric Ebron catches the ball, he's a monster.
Yeah.
So, I mean, not having a running game shouldn't kill this team. And it really hasn't because obviously the 3 seed in the AFC, it may have cost them the number 1 seed.
It definitely
It
did.
definitely did.
Yeah.
But, I just think if you let Ben carry this team, I think the Steelers win. And I think they win comfortably if they let him do that. I don't think they're going to, though. I think they're going to make this
Hard.
very hard.
They're going to make it
and
hard
I think
on
Steelers
themselves.
fans are going to be like, are you kidding me
Yeah.
right now? Like we could have this amount of points, but we're down to here. I could see that.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, we talked about the Steelers, we talked about the Browns. Where are you going in regards to a final score prediction?
I'm going to go Steelers just because my heart's there, and it's a home game. And like you had pointed to, we played them really close just a week ago. And also, we haven't at all touched on the fact that the Browns are having a COVID outbreak. I don't think they practiced all week at all. They shut down their facility. Kevin Stefanski is not going to be able to head coach them at the stadium. They're missing Joe Bitonio. He's not playing. What's the other guy's name? Kadero Hodge. So they've just been in total disarray this whole week leading up. So I think it all plays into the Steelers' favor. And I think the Steelers are a better team overall.
They are.
So, yeah, I think, the Browns got to the playoffs. Good for them. They're a good team. They can build off this. But because of the COVID outbreak and just the fact they have to go into Pittsburgh's, stadium, I don't think they're gonna win this game.
Am I crazy to think I'm almost more impressed with what the Steelers have done, despite the fact they haven't had a COVID outbreak, but it's like they've been every single bit affected. Titans,
Yeah.
Browns, Ravens. I mean, it's like anytime anyone else had a COVID outbreak, it was right around the Steelers game, and you're like, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah.
They had to play on Tuesday?
They got one game postponed 3 times.
Yeah, I mean, and they were forced to take their bye week 4, which I also think had to do, and I know they won't make excuses.
Yeah.
Because Tomlin doesn't do that. But there's an
They
argument
got
there.
exhausted towards the end.
Exactly.
Which
So,
is big.
not having the bye, I do think hurts them, but I think they're a better team, and they drew a nice matchup. Because if they played, say, the Titans, I wouldn't like that. If they played the Colts, we saw how close that game was. I wouldn't like that. I think this is a favorable matchup for them against the Browns.
It is, yeah. I think this is the best team for them to play opening week of the playoffs.
So I have the Steelers as well. I have them winning 31-20. So I think they win by 11.
By 11, okay.
I think they're the better team. I think the Browns have just so much going on in the back scenes. And I just think even the Browns' best game, the Steelers' average game beats the Browns.
Probably, yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
I think Baker's going to do too much. They're going to go away from what got them there.
If they do that, it's going to be bad. It's not going to be good for them.
In the heat of the moment, they're going to go away from what got them there. And I think ultimately Baker is going to turn over the ball, and they're not going to run enough with Hunt and
it's tough for Cleveland fans, man. It's just good, I guess, for them to be back in the playoffs.
Yeah,
and they earned it. They definitely earned it. They're a good team. I keep saying it. They are. They really are. But I just think they got dealt a bad hand. Like, you're playing the Steelers, your first play at their house, prime time, and then you got hit by COVID leading up. It's like, dude.
Well, they definitely got.
It's just a bad recipe.
A bad deck of cards for sure.
Bad recipe. So.
And they don't get me wrong. They have pieces on their defense. I think they're very but I feel like they're a paper tiger. Their defense hasn't quite lived up to what they could be.
No. Yeah, they got to build into that defense more experience.
I think how they can win this game, I don't think they win this through the offense. If they want to win this game, they're going to have to pressure Ben.
Yeah.
They're going to have to force fumbles. Myles Garrett could do that.
He could.
But I don't. Ben has been in this position so much. I trust Big Ben over Baker Mayfield starting his first playoff.
Exactly. Yeah, so I'm going to say Steelers. I'll say 35. I guess I'm kind of going big here. 35-21.
So we both went big.
Bit of a blowout, yeah.
31.
I just think,
35,
dude,
21.
the Browns are. If the Browns didn't have this huge COVID outbreak and they don't have their coach and they're missing a great piece on their O-line and a weapon at wide receiver and just disarray, not practicing, it wouldn't be. I wouldn't say blowout. I'd say much closer. But come on, the Steelers got to rest a bunch of key starters, by the way, on defense and offense last week.
Yeah.
I just think it makes for a somewhat of a blowout here.
Plus, underrated storyline here, the Steelers also got a lot of those guys playing time, which they're not getting. So, And also, I hate to always look at it like this, but Bud Dupree got hurt a little bit early. Obviously, if he got hurt, you would have liked it to happen a little bit further earlier because then somebody like Highsmith comes in,
More
he has a lot of
experience.
experience.
Yeah.
But I think he has a decent amount of experience thus far.
I mean, yeah, he's good enough, man. He's not like a huge liability. His biggest liability is containing quarterbacks that are mobile because, again, sometimes he'll get out of position because he's just learning and he's trying to rush the passer and he'll naturally get himself out of position. But as a pass rusher, he's not a liability at all. He can get the pressure there.
No, I agree with you. So now this is we have about 7 minutes left.
Okay.
In the show, we want to wrap up this segment with taking every team and assuming they win today.
Yep. Okay.
Would they be able to win a Super Bowl, realistically?
Ooh.
So we're going to start off with the Colts, who are now down 7-3 against Buffalo in the second quarter, which, by the way, that score is where Colts want to be. That's not a 14.
That's not a bad score.
That's not a bad score on the road. So Colts fans shouldn't be panicking.
No, yeah.
But yeah, Colts, if they win, could they not? Is it possible if they score more points than other teams, could they win a Super Bowl? Because everyone could.
Yep.
But would they win this game? Could you see them generating any sort of
the Colts?
See, I think that I like this idea of a segment because it just kind of covers every team once over again. I don't think they would win because I don't trust Phillip Rivers.
That's what I was gonna say.
He's 5-6 in the postseason. I know it's sad to say, Phillip Rivers is not a Hall of Fame quarterback. I think he's a very, very good quarterback that will go down in history as somebody that was around the same time as Manning, Breeze, Rodgers, Brady, but was never that elite guy.
Yeah.
He was like a Matt Ryan type.
Yeah, he was good.
So I don't think he gets his ring before he retires. I do think he retires after this, but I don't see it. What about you?
Probably not. Yeah, I can't say that Phillip Rivers, especially when I look at the other quarterbacks he'd have to go through to get there. He's one of the worst. Unfortunately, yeah. So, no, I don't see that happening.
Bills.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. They're probably the second best team in the playoffs.
I think the Bills are the best team right now in the AFC. The way they're playing. I know a lot of people will be like, well, what about Kansas City?
I could see you. It's either Kansas City or them.
Yeah, I mean, I think the best AFC team is playing right now. So I would say yes. Josh Allen just has to keep playing his game, not get too crazy. And I think the defense is obviously you'd like to be able to have them stop the run. But I like the way the defense is playing, and if they win this game, yeah, I absolutely believe they could win a Super Bowl. Moving on, the LA Rams. They beat the Seahawks. Can they win a Super Bowl?
Well, I said they would lose to the Seahawks, so there's no way I can say that they can win the Super Bowl now. That logic doesn't add up. So I would say no. Just because, again, it's the same story. It's like the quarterback situation. Who's your quarterback? Is it either an injured guy who hasn't been playing his best football the last 4 weeks, or is it an inexperienced guy who's just getting thrown into the fire?
Now, I'm going to go, and this might contradict my first point, but hear me out.
But their defense is obviously something that can carry them.
And while Matt Eberflus has a great defense for the Colts, it's not the best defense.
No, it's not close to the Rams either.
That's the point.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel like Rivers would have to do more than the Rams.
A lot more.
Have to do.
Yeah.
And I look at the Rams, and they have it's almost not even fair to say this because I feel like they have more talent on offense than Brian Billick's Ravens Super Bowl winning team did. But they have that defense, number one defense in the league, that won the Super Bowl with Trent Dilfer. I think both Rams quarterbacks, including Bortles, I think are all better than Trent Dilfer right now. So the Rams
So you're taking the Ravens approach.
I mean, I am taking the Ravens approach. Okay. I would say this defense, and I've been saying it all year long, anybody that's watched this team with me, I've been saying the offense eventually is going to catch up and it's going to do something.
Okay.
But the offense isn't like it was in 2018.
No.
Can it be there next year? Maybe. But this is Brandon Staley's time. Brandon Staley is a one-year defensive coordinator that comes in and changes everything on the defense. They're number one in every statistic. To me, that defense is good enough to win you a Super Bowl. As long as the quarterbacks take care of the football, I do think they can. And so I will say that Seattle,
tough.
if they win against the Rams, can they win a Super Bowl?
Yeah, I think so. Because what's holding them back is their offense primarily.
But their offense,
But it could take off any night.
tomorrow.
Yeah, any day. So, yeah, I think they could. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they can as well. I'm not as high on the Seahawks as their record.
I'm not as high as their record.
Team.
But I think if they have a shot to definitely make it to the Super Bowl and win it for sure.
Crazy enough, it's going to be one of the weirdest years ever if the Seahawks they win this game and they started off historically looking like the worst defense of all time, and then their defense wins them a Super Bowl. That would be bizarre.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, I believe I go with you as well. I think they can win a Super Bowl. The Buccaneers, 11-5.
Yes.
They win against.
They're my
Washington.
favorite.
They're your favorite right now.
Behind like probably the Packers, but maybe even over the Packers.
Wow.
Yeah. Just because their defense is actually pretty solid, and then their weapons
you can't run on them.
And then their weapons are just unreal. And Tom Brady looks like he's getting kind of more accustomed to playing with those weapons each week. Yeah, man, they're like not a dark horse because they're in the playoffs, but like my dark horse pick for winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, I have to go with you there. I do think the Buccaneers have too much to say they can't win a Super Bowl. Moving on, Washington.
No.
I don't think so.
Not even.
I don't think there's anything I could get Washington the Super Bowl. Not
okay,
anything.
Well, let me ask you this then: why do you think the Rams can if Washington can't?
Because I think Washington's offense is anemic, and I think the Rams' offense has shown you in spurts that
anemic. They have Terry McLaurin. They have Antonio Gibson.
Thing, though,
that's anemic.
But they're playing Taylor Heineke. How long is that going to go on?
Well, Washington fans would be looking at John Wolf of Wall Street, and they'd be like, "You're playing." I've never even heard of this guy. This is who you're playing.
Yeah, but he looked pretty good last week. And here's the thing with Heineke.
But I'm just saying this is the devil's advocate argument.
Oh, no, absolutely.
And I feel like
I hear you. But the formula for a Sean McVay football team is that the Rams, and this is why I'm confident, they control the game. So the Rams, Sean McVay is 35-0, I believe, when winning at halftime since he came in the Rams. Basically, their formula.
Also apparent
to short a third and short.
Okay.
Okay, so you get to third and short. I just saw this. The Colts.
Colts are winning.
Yeah, the Colts are now winning. So, like I said, that was a perfect score for them going in the second quarter. But anyway, third and short. You get to those third and short situations, not third and long.
Okay.
And you continue to extend drives, and what it does is it keeps your defense off the field. Your number one defense in the league is constantly, feeling like they're fresh. And the offense, in turn, they're slowly picking apart the defense. This is the problem with Washington. They don't have drives like that, long 13-play drives. Rams stall out in the red zone, but they kick field goals. Washington either has a drive where they put it together, or they have a drive where they don't.
I just think your argument for the Rams winning is a little close to like why you could argue that the Washington football team could win.
I just don't think they have enough on offense.
Okay, that's the argument. That's your argument.
The consistency is not there.
Right.
And the Rams consistently don't score, but they're top 5 in red zone appearances.
I agree, though. Washington is not winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
So the Ravens here, they beat Tennessee. Do they win a Super Bowl?
Yeah, I mean, if they showed that they continue to be the team they were the last 2-3 weeks, then yeah, sure, they could definitely win it. I mean, you have Lamar Jackson. He's still great. Like, he can still make a lot of stuff happen. And their defense is awesome. And their running game is phenomenal. So, yeah.
The Ravens terrify me.
They don't terrify me, but they could go on a run, and I wouldn't be, blown away if they won the Super Bowl.
The biggest thing for me is that the Ravens last year, that was Lamar Jackson's first ever taste of the playoffs. So
no, he was in it the year prior.
Oh, he was in the year prior. Yeah. Okay. Well, he looked like it was his first ever taste.
That's the problem with him in the playoffs.
So I have to. Well, that's the thing. I have to know if he comes out today
and he looks like that again.
And looks like that again, then I know.
Then you know that's him.
That's him in the playoffs. But if he comes out and tears it up,
sure,
I'd have to believe that he's turned a corner as a postseason quarterback. They have a lot going for them. I definitely think they can win a Super Bowl.
Sure.
The Titans as well. I think if the Titans beat the Ravens, I think they can win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, sure. Yep.
I think Arthur Smith and that offense, what he's done for that offense,
I think their defense concerns me.
They could have won last year.
I think their defense concerns me about making a real stretch run in the Super Bowl.
Thing that they have, they need to just control the game because they have Derrick Henry.
Yeah, exactly.
When he gets into a mode, I don't care how good your defense is.
You're not stopping him. All right, what's next?
Bears.
No, I said they suck. Sorry. Sorry, Bears fans. I don't know.
I don't think they can win.
Yeah, they need a quarterback.
They're very similar to like the Washington in this. Like, I don't really see it. But I think the Saints, they can obviously.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. I think so, yeah. I think they're like bottom of my list as far as like feasibility, but they're there, yeah. They could.
They're another team. They're 12-4. I don't know. I don't really know what the Saints are, to be honest with you. They haven't had it.
Well, they're confusing too because they lost Drew Brees at a weird time.
Very weird time.
And so he's just getting back into the flow. So you just don't know what their strength is right now. It's kind of hard to say.
So next is the Browns. If they beat the Steelers and mortify you, can they win a Super Bowl?
No.
I don't think so either.
No.
I don't
I think it's the same story. Like their defense concerns me going on a deep run.
If the Browns beat the Steelers, I think it's more so what they know.
It's more of interdivisional familiarity kind of thing.
Familiarity, and say they don't play the Ravens in the next round.
Right.
I don't even think they get by the next round.
Probably not, because who would they play? They'd play the Bills, right? Or the Chiefs. They might be playing the Chiefs. No, because they were second. I guess it depends on everything else, but they'd be playing one of the top teams. So
yeah. I don't like that at all. Not a fan.
Yeah.
And then the Steelers. I mean, do you think? And look, I get it. They can't run the football. That normally is something that you want to be able to do. Can they win a Super Bowl if they beat the Browns?
They can win a Super Bowl, but they're probably towards the bottom of my list too, as far as like feasibility, because their running game that's a problem, dude. That's just a problem. You need to be able to run the football. So if they do, it's because they let Ben just take over and stop with Randy Fichtner's weird dink and dunk offense.
Yeah,
and Ben just does what he does, and the defense continues to play at a high level. That's the only way. That's it, If they stick to their guns on that offense, that dink and dunk BS, good night. No way.
Well, that's gonna do it. We went a little bit over 2 hours, but
that's all right.
Who cares?
Yeah.
It was our first time on this show. I think we did a good job. You guys let us know. We don't know until the fans let us know. But it's been fun. We've covered all the teams. We've covered all the games. If your team wins, do they make the Super Bowl? We covered that. Enjoy Wildcard Weekend. We'll be back next Saturday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time to 2 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll try
somewhere around there. Whatever.
Somewhere around there. But for JkBogen, he is Adam Grego. We are signing off. Thanks again, guys, and you guys take care.
Thanks, guys. Peace out. And stream is done.